I stopped watching the anime because I was tired of the same plot where a new enemy is introduced every episode, and the main characters save the day. I dropped the show on episode 7. I might give it another shot someday.
So, I've seen this comment a few times, and I'd like to address it formally. If you watched the first 7 episodes and determined that it is the same plot every episode, then you have not been paying attention. Straight up, you just haven't. Describing the show as new enemy is introduced and the heroes beat them is already revealing on this person's part, because does that not describe the vast majority of stories? One could say this about Sherlock Holmes. A new case is introduced every book and the hero finds the culprit. One could say this about the entire superhero genre. A new villain is introduced every few issues and the hero beats them. So I'm already past the Sailor Moon specifics of this thought process, and I'm now thinking, what do you consider to be good media that can also be described exactly like this, so that we can deal with the root of the problem you may be having here? Because it very well may be that this person is a very rare individual who can't do episodic type stories at all. So if that's the case, yeah, don't bother. But if it's something else specifically about Sailor Moon, maybe we can tackle that problem. For now, I'll just counter the claims made because the statement, "it's the same plot over and over," rubs me the wrong way. It's really not the same plot. Episode 4 doesn't introduce a new villain. It's Jadeite doing the evil plot, and he succeeds in stealing the energy and bringing it back to base. That's not the plot that he's applied to this batch of episodes. Episode 3 is a clear departure in this repetitive idea. It's a detective story that slowly unfolds until Usagi and Luna get to the bottom of it and face Flau, then Jadeite, who they can't beat. The concept that they always beat the villain is clearly not supported here. They stopped the evil plot from continuing, but they didn't beat the villain either. All the energy Jadeite stole is still in his possession when he leaves, so all the people that were dead from the flower brooches are still dead by the end of the episode. And believe you me, people did in fact die from the flower brooches. More info on that in episode 3's analysis video, coming eventually. Plus, Jadeite is now aware of Sailor Moon's existence, as well as a mysterious rose-throwing third party that is helping her out. Jadeite has used this moment as a way to restructure his schemes and how he will get energy the next episode, which is reflected in him being the only one behind Jim Shapley. Episode 6 has Usagi teaming up with a civilian who is being targeted because he has the MacGuffin that the Yoma needs. Like, come on, how is that the same as episode 1 or 2 or 5? I'm not comfortable letting that statement slide with no pushback because it's just flatly incorrect. Episodes 1 through 7 are not the same plot over and over again until Ami shows up. That ain't accurate and I don't like it. Now, clearly, he's a newcomer who's just casually watching the show for the first time, so I get the misunderstanding, but it's still wrong. Pay attention, sir. It's not the same plot over and over. You're missing out on quality content because you're so focused on the Monster of the Week formula, but that isn't inherently bad storytelling. It's a method of storytelling, just like musicals are a method of storytelling. And just because someone might find musicals unappealing doesn't mean all musicals are inherently bad stories or all musicals are the exact same. That's nonsense. The mere existence of a trope/cliche is not a measurement of objective quality. Execution of said trope/cliche is what determines objective quality, because execution is everything. Find all the differences between episodes and the details being added onto the continuing plot, and you'll see what I mean. Don't stop your critical thinking at recognizing a common storytelling device and associating it with other stories that use said device, and extrapolating that out to mean it's the same thing over and over because same general trope. Let's all be just a little smarter than that, shall we? I would say, as well, if you even remotely enjoyed episode 3, then you should be locked in for the remainder of the solo Usagi episodes, because episode 3 is so good just as a standalone episode. You get a nice gradual ramping up of tension, a mystery that's handled surprisingly well, and that in battle with Flau and Jadeite is just awesome. If you like that episode at all, solo Usagi episodes should be an enjoyable watch, if not a fantastic collection of episodes to carry you into 8. At least that's what it was for me. I understand episodes 4 and 7 are quite bad in comparison to 3 and 6, which is a hilarious coincidence that 2 of the best solo Usagi episodes are immediately followed by 2 of the worst episodes, but I don't know. Episodes 1 through 3 are so darn good, I was locked in. Hopefully, when I get around to analyzing those episodes, I can thoroughly explain why they're really good.